Hey guys, Keys here, back with another Bitcoin video. So Bitcoin just had an insane week. We still have 2 days left, but it's the weekend now, so I don't think too much is going to happen over the weekend. But Bitcoin dropped all the way down to 60K on Thursday, and it was a really big drop really quickly. And I was, on Twitter just to see how the sentiment was. It was crazy. Um, there were a lot of indicators that were saying that we were oversold and like things were kind of we should be getting a bounce sometime soon, and we've gotten a bounce. We're now at 70K, so we got a 10K bounce in about a day. So I'm going to flip to the daily. You can see yesterday's candle was plus 7,600, so it was a 12% candle. But the day before that was a minus 10,200 candle. It was down 14%. And this is what I was talking about, right? So now that we've gotten a pretty big move, I mean, we've actually dropped from top to bottom, like from the all-time high to where we fell yesterday, 52%. So we're actually over 50% now. That was like my first, target was around 50% because I think that the bear market will go between 50 to 70. So we've actually already hit the 50. And we hit it a lot earlier than even what I was expecting. I didn't really expect it to just tank like this because I mean, from this high on January 14th at 97,000, it took Bitcoin about 23 days and it dropped, 39% almost. So it was a really big drop in a pretty short amount of time. And I think that what I was seeing a lot of people doing was, they were trying to call the bottom during this free fall. So if I actually flip to like the 4 hour or actually let's just look at the 1 hour, you can kind of see this whole way down, people kept saying like this was the bottom. Like for example, right here at 70K, this was the bottom, and then it bounced a little bit, and then we tanked lower. It was at 69, that's the bottom. Then at 66, it was the bottom. Then at 62 was supposed to be the bottom, and now 60K is apparently the bottom. I don't think it's the bottom, guys. I think that it's going to be a bottom for a few weeks to a few months, but I think eventually it will get taken out, and I think we will go into the 50s. So I'm just waiting. I didn't actually buy any Bitcoin, even though I could have bought it at 60K. Mainly just because I didn't even know like where it was gonna bottom. Like because when we were at 60K, I didn't know that was gonna be where it bounced. You got to give it more time. So I want to talk about 2022 really quickly because I think we're kind of playing out the almost exactly the same way as how 2022 went, which is kind of crazy. And I mean, we spoke about this in the last video, but like basically we went down here in 2020, ever since October. Then we kind of had this like sideways up movement. You could almost say it's a bear flag. And then we got this drop. And that's similar to what we did here in 2021, going into 2022, then early 2022. And actually what's crazy is like the time is actually very similar too, right? The top in 2021 was November. The top here is October. And then we found this bottom here in January, and we found this bottom here in November. And then we went sideways for a little bit, and we peaked in 2022 in March. Here so far, this was in January, and we're getting a sell-off. So I think we're either here, like I think we might be here where Bitcoin found a bottom in 2022. It was at around 25K, and then it rallied up to 32K, which by the way is a 28% move. And if we get a 28% move here, what's interesting about that is that puts us around 77K, but it also puts us right at this level right here. Right here, right? So we actually rallied all the way back up, retested this level, and then got rejected. I actually think that might happen. That's like something that could happen. I think we could go as high as like, into the 80s, right? Like I think we could actually come to 80K here, maybe even 85K, make a big rally up here and then continue going down. I think that the next big push down, I think it's going to take a while. I think what we're going to do here is like either like go like this for a while, like for like weeks to months. I think 60K is going to hold for like a kind of, a decent amount of time, weeks to months. And then I think we're going to continue, like we're going to have one more leg down. We're going to have this. So I think we might be here. This might be like what we play out here. And then we get one more leg down here. And that's basically the bottom. Like it wasn't the bottom in 2022 because we actually bottomed in November of 2022. But let's say we did something like this for like a little bit, came up, and then we like got pushed down into the summer, and we came into like the 50s, maybe in the 40s. At this point, after the whatever, like whenever we get this next leg down, which I think we're going to at some point, I think that's going to be basically when I buy. I don't really know how low it's going to go. The only way I'm going to know how to buy is because I think we're going to have time to buy. See how like you actually had a lot of time to buy it here in 2022? Like we set a low, went down to 17K, but we basically came back to it. Like we kept retesting 18K for kind of a while. I mean, this was about 144 days. So you had a lot of time to accumulate at this level. We did get one more push down actually in 2022. I don't know if we'll get that one down, like another third leg down. We could, but I do think we're going to get one more big push down and then it's going to build a base. And the base is basically where we're going to really be stacking. I mean, the next time we come down to around 60K, because I know we're going to come down to like 62 or like 61 again, I will probably make my first buy there because, like I said, I didn't buy it the first time in the 60s because I didn't know where the bottom was. And, a big or something that you should never do is, try to catch a falling knife. Like, whenever things are just dumping, just let it play out. You don't need to try and time the bottom because you don't know where it is. But now that we know the bottom is at 60K because we got a big bounce from it, next time we come into like the low 60s, like 62 into the low 60s anywhere, I'm probably going to make my first Bitcoin buy. I'm not going to go all in because I am expecting one more leg down. And then when we do get that one more leg down, like I said, I'm not going to know where the bottom is when we get that leg down. I'm not going to try catching a falling knife. I mean, the thing is like, we're going to probably build a base. So wherever the bottom is, we're probably going to start building a base for a little bit. And then that's the end of the bear market. And we're going to like have time. So you can kind of see Bitcoin always kind of builds a base. In 2022, it was all the way down here. In 2019, it was at, and all the way down here is around 16K. In 2020 or 2019, it was around 3K. Even in 2015, it was at around $240, right? It built a base at around 240. So even like in the early days in 2011, when it was $2 for a Bitcoin, which is insane, it still kind of built a base here. Like you had time to buy it at the bottom. It didn't just V-shaped recovery. And like some people think we're gonna V-shaped recovery. Obviously we could, like I don't know the future. We V-shaped recovery here, but that's because this was the COVID-19 drop. I don't think we're gonna get something like that again. I think we're gonna get like a bottom, like a base bottom. So yeah, guys, that's just really what I think is gonna happen. This was a pretty big week. I actually want to flip to the weekly really quickly again because something that's really, really, it stands out to me a lot is the super long wicks, right? Like if we do close, I mean, we still have 2 days left at the candle, so I don't know how this candle's going to close. But if we close and we have a huge wick like this, I mean, look, that's like literally what happened in 2022. We had a huge candle wick on this weekly candle, but what happened? Let me zoom in a little bit. What happened here? Like we had a big wick here. Like we opened the week at 34K. Then we actually fell down in 1 week 25%, but the week didn't actually close 25% down, right? The week only closed 8%, 8 or 9% down. But over time, over the next month, because these are weekly candles, we ended up just slowly bleeding back down. And then what did we do? We actually took it out, pretty big. And then we had another big wick here, which by the way, we did end up taking out again. So I don't really like, especially in bear markets, when we have like big red candles with big wicks. I feel like it's kind of like giving us a glimpse of what's going to happen. Because the thing about bear markets is people will always refuse it's a bear market. So you will always have people, buying the dip. And so at some point, it's going to go to a level where people buy the dip. And that's why the week doesn't close as low because, people bought this. That's why it came back up. But it just wasn't sustainable. We were in a bear market. So there was no one else to keep buying and pushing it up. So all we did was just go lower. And I think that's going to happen again. So, I mean, like I said, we still have 2 days left. So I don't know if this wick is going to be this big, but it's probably going to be a pretty big wick. And I think that over the next, we might like I said, we might go sideways here for a bit. I think that's probably more likely. But if we do what we did in 2022, we're actually just gonna slowly bleed down for them, for like a month. We're just gonna go slowly like this, and then eventually we're just gonna like tank. And that's probably where the bottom is. We could go lower again because like I said, we had one more leg down, but I'm not gonna wait that long since I don't know where the bottom's gonna be. So yeah, guys, that's really what I think. Just to recap, we're probably going to come back down to the low 60s. That's where I'm going to make my first buy. I'm still expecting it to go lower into the 50s. It might even go into the 40s. You guys know the lowest level I think Bitcoin will go, like the absolute lowest is 32K. I've been talking about the 32K level for a long, long time. And there's just so much not so much evidence, but there is some confluence into why 32K could be the bottom. And I think the biggest and important, one of the most important reasons why is the 75% drop. That's just the typical bear market drop in the 70%, over 70%. So that really lines up. I don't know if we'll get it. If we did get it, that's probably where I would all in to the point where I don't have any more money that I want to throw into the markets anymore. Cause yeah, I think that's the lowest level we go, but we'll see. Anyways, guys, that was just an update. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.